What did you do in the Star Trek hiatus? Episode 311 of Trekland Tuesdays Live. There we go. With me, Dr. Trek, Larry Nemecek, coming at you this week, as always, from here, the heart of Trekland, through Portal 47 via the Trekland Treks, for some sanity, clarity, and the big picture in all things Star Trek. This week, presented by the Kickstarter program for Destiny Aurora from our good friend Frank Zanca. Tell you more about that in a minute. We will have, a little topic for me this week, kind of a grab bag, but we're going to go around the horn here at Trek World a little bit because it is hiatus time and we've only got about 10 more days, another week, basically. A week from this Thursday is the return debut season 2 of Strange New Worlds, the much ballyhooed, increasingly so, now that the screeners are out with 6 episodes. So you're going to see all kinds of chatter out there. The trailer has already garnered a lot of chatter. So that's happening. But again, we just got through 6-7 weeks of hiatus time. A few things have happened. I thought we would just, go around the horn and see what's going on. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I do want to shout out this week to my friend Frank Zanca, and I want to tell you about his Kickstarter. So we are sponsored this week by the Destiny Aurora Kickstarter. Here is a great video I want you to see right now.
Immerse yourself in the wildly successful Destiny Aurora universe. The release of the audiobook version marks the newest addition to the franchise. Follow the thrilling adventures of the starship Destiny Aurora and its crew as they hunt for the alien assassin who murdered Jace Carver's wife. Their epic confrontation will change Jace's life forever and keep readers guessing till the end. Go to the link below and listen to the first chapter absolutely free.
All right. Did you catch that? No, I'm very, very thankful to Frank. So it's a Kickstarter. They've already made their goal, but they are into stretch goals. It's a complete series. He's done the comics. He's doing a collected graphic novel. There is an audiobook. You can see all the perks at the site. Here we go. Want to show you off just some of the artwork, some of the major characters, these great images of artwork from some of the major characters, Destiny Aurora, and back again. Anyway, check it out. Check out the Kickstarter. It's got some time to go. Frank's been around a while. I got to know Frank especially before, but especially during the Nichelle Nichols Foundation, the Nichelle Nichols farewell event a year and a half ago. Yes, so thank you, Frank, and everyone check that out. What was I saying? What did you do in the Star Trek hiatus? Well, look, we've had 6, 7 long weeks here between the end of Picard. And you know what? There was plenty of ballyhoo for Picard. So lots of marinating in the joy that was that. Slight minority of folks didn't appreciate it as much as it seemed like the vast bulk of fandom did. And now one thing that's going on is you're seeing Emmy considerations, the FYCs, the for-year consideration, the Emmy voters, especially here in LA. Billboards going up. Terry, Dave Blass, a lot of folks, all too happy. Jerry, Patrick, whoever's socials you're following, all too happy to share the billboards and all of that because that's what's happening. And will it just be for technicals again? Will Sir Patrick get an Emmy nomination for acting? We will see. Will the series get an Emmy nomination for series? We'll see. But that's happening right now. So some folks are spending their hiatus time promoting Picard. But a lot of fans and others and professionals are looking forward to Strange New Worlds in another week or so. That's going on. But, around the country, around the world, some folks spent their hiatus going to conventions and celebrating this incredible comeback of Star Trek. And there's little unease around the world. We are out of a pandemic for the most part. Do all the things. It's gradually feeling a little bit looser, but it is a different world. There's the economics of travel and events and things are still, a little bit. We're still finding our way, and yet things are reopening. Well, the conventions this year have been fuller attended than last year, as you'd expect. I'm looking at the folks. Oh, I don't know. Germany just had FedCon. In fact, I know we probably got people in the chat stream today that were there. A new debut convention. I am so thrilled for Trek Long Island happened a couple of weeks ago. We noted that. You know, just last weekend, Phoenix Comic-Con happened. And I was there last year. Couldn't make it this year, but all reports are that it was much bigger turnout than last year's restart. So thrilled that I sit on the advisory board for the Nichelle Nichols Foundation. Made a big splash. My dear friend Walter, just got to talk with him and host him in an event for the Nichelle Nichols Foundation. It was virtual. You could check that out if you would, for a couple of weeks ago. But Walter was there live. Anson, I'm going to mess this up of who all was there. Shatner was there for a day. But Walter hosted the new thing that we started last year, or that I was able to host last year. Walter hosted the mixer for Star Trek fans at the con site, and there were other genre mixers. But for the Star Trek one, Walter hosted, there was fundraisers, raffles, all kinds of things. $7,000 raised for the Nichelle Nichols Foundation, and one of the main goals there is sending as many as we can, young girls especially of color, to space camp next year. And that's one of the out of the gate projects before we start funding things like scholarships for people who are deserving and often underserved. So yay for my guy Walter, yay for all my friends at the Nichelle Nichols Foundation for having a great event and a great weekend by all accounts. I'll try to get there. Phoenix may be a special site in the plans for the Nichelle Nichols Foundation going forward. And we'll see what we can do about getting back there next year. But yeah, maybe you celebrated Hiatus time going to, or, you know, a con near you. And there are plenty more. I'm just doing 2 or 3 here off the top of my head. Who just had the beam in from the Strange New World? That was London Comic-Con, right? The beam in character, the holographic projections from Strange New World cast. And you just saw the news on that. So trying to make up, I think, for some of the, remember when the Discovery crew all went over to promote Discovery, and then the left hand hadn't told the right hand at Paramount Plus what to do, and they yanked the, that was what, a year ago, 2 years ago? Well, again, time takes care of all things, heals all those wounds. And so if nothing else, maybe that was a little healing touch for the uproar caused last year. But no, that was a big splash. Great promotion for Strange New Worlds, and everybody is excited for it. So again, maybe you celebrated Hiatus past your time by planning, doing all the things, working on your models, working on your cosplay, doing all that. Hey, I'm going to be excited because it's not technically Hiatus time, but I'm going to be at SoonerCon back home with all my homies in Oklahoma City, Greater Oklahoma City, actually Norman, Boomer Sooner. But I'm excited this year because no actor guests, but, well, for one thing, John Scalzi is the literary guest, but my good buddy and former employee, Kevin Dillmore is going to be a guest at SoonerCon. So we'll have some Larry and Kevin moments going back to the Communicator days and forward. Of course, Kevin has worked at Hallmark for years, and every year I've done a Hallmark Star Trek catch-up moment here from the ornaments on down at Comic-Con San Diego, or sometimes at Vegas. So the last few years, those videos are up. Anyway, I'm so looking forward to seeing Kevin, this guest lineup that they've got, topped with John Scalzi at the top. Voice actors, anime, cosplay, artists. That's happening the very end of June this year. It overlaps to July. So it's June 30th, July 1st and 2nd at the Embassy Suites in Norman, right off I-35 there, South Oklahoma City. You can save on tickets. Hey, if you're in the greater, this is not a local con anymore. They are growing. The word is getting out. It's like a 5-state draw now, unless you're really ambitious. And people have come from the East Coast to SoonerCon. But the advanced prices are still in effect at SoonerCon.com. Makes sense, right? Okay. Hey, kids 12 and under are free. I keep forgetting to say that. Declare your independence is this year's theme. I think they're bumping into 4. But, you know, SoonerCon is let me say this, SoonerCon is very representational. It is, everybody is welcome. I know you're saying, oh, it's Oklahoma. No, Norman is a wonderful, did I say this, progressive island in Oklahoma, but the fandom community across the state is what you would expect. Yeah, no matter what you're repping, franchise-wise, personally, whatever it is, you're welcome at SoonerCon. And so that tagline this year, the theme, Declare Your Independence, has layers of meaning, if you get my drift. But yeah, the panels, the workshop, there's performances, contests, there's kids track. Oh, and I should mention, if all goes well, SoonerCon this year in the kids programming will be the debut of none other than Cadet Alice at her first convention. And we have a Dr. Trek and Cadet Alice panel in the kids' room, planned to talk Prodigy with her peers, fellow cadets. So I may be riding the rims a little bit with that one, but I am so looking forward to that. Anyway, yeah, SoonerCon.com, you can get all the information there. I'm so looking forward to that. And of course, yeah, I know it's out of hiatus time. Everything will be busting. If I'm looking forward to San Diego, I've got a panel. I can't tell you the time yet, but I can do that in a few weeks while they juggle the schedule. But we'll be back at Comic-Con San Diego again. Of course, Vegas, Trek Vegas, going to do some events there. Can't wait to see all the new faces and the old as we get back to the Rio. And then we'll see what happens the rest of the year. Working on other things. But, that's out of hiatus time, but that's what's exciting going on. What's going on? What's going on? Well, some people, mentioned diversity, representation. A lot of people are getting involved in Pride Month. A lot of your celebrity friends on their socials and your fan friends, the podcast world, the blog world, they're all getting involved in Pride Month. That's awesome. Because it's, especially this year, it seems like that's happening. People are, again, spreading the word about the Emmys voting. What's going on? Oh, yeah. Oh, a lot of people are even helping their favorite shows like Prodigy. Did you see this? I was boosting this. Prodigy was in the running in the animation category. There's awards called Telltale TV. Get it? Telltale TV. Their animation division, Prodigy, was one of the nominees. And guess what? It was popularly voted. And guess what? Prodigy won. This was news a couple of weeks ago, and everybody trying to tweet about it. I was boosting Signal. So congratulations to, I know Aaron Walke, the Emmy-winning, co-executive producer on Prodigy, was very proud of that, as was the whole team. They beat out, look at the nominees, Harley Quinn, Bob's Burgers, Bluey. Harley Quinn was number 2, runner-up to Prodigy. So huge congrats to them for that. And by the way, congratulations to Aaron and his wife for their new little one. Yeah, Ramona, or Ensign Rowe, as he called her, very cutely. And he's proudly posting pics. They've already got her wrapped up in some cadet swaddling. So big shout out to him for that. I saw him about a month ago, and he said, well, my life's about to change. And I said, yes, it is. Taking on one more crew like that. So big shout out to him for that. So no, it's been an interesting hiatus. What's going on with you? What have you been doing? What are you looking forward to? Again, we're ostensibly the end of hiatus will be the Strange New Worlds comeback. Lower Decks is lurking out there, and ostensibly both animation shows, both of the animateds, are not affected by the writer's strike, so they should, for the most part, be on track. We've got Star Trek, as we've talked about here. We've got shows in the can all the way through. The final season of Disco is even being delayed until spring. But we've got a Strange New World season to go. We've got a Lower Decks season to come, and it's summertime normal. We've got Prodigy on the way, season 2. They're double-sized seasons. It may not hit us until Strange New Worlds next year and the debut of Starfleet Academy, which really is bumped into a 2025 year. And talking to folks on strike day, if nothing else, that was always kind of the idea. So the huge advanced lead time on these shows is still a factor. But yeah, the strike's going to impact that to a big degree. As I said, some folks spent their hiatus walking those picket lines. And if you hadn't listened, hadn't been paying attention, I started to tweet just at midnight a couple of nights ago. There'd been a lot of talk about a triple whammy here, because again, this is not just about numbers. It's about the landscape of how media is delivered and paid for. And out of the blue, streaming took over. So all the old models, the old residuals with reruns and the way everything was set up was kind of meaningless, or it was meaningless for 3/4 of the market. And that's affecting even the global numbers. Well, the DGA came to an agreement, settled. So there will be no triple whammy strike this year. It was an interesting reaction. People were happy for their colleagues, but at the same time, a lot of the writers and a lot of the actors felt a little betrayed, like they were going to stick together. But that begs, as many overlapping issues as they had, the three unions and the simpatico, the in sympathy, solidarity with the Teamsters and the IATSE crews, who are everybody from grips and gaffers through all the art division, all the art disciplines. They busted out and had an agreement. Now, it still has to be approved, and I've seen even chatter that a lot of the hyphenates, the writer directors, or even actor directors, are not happy about this, and they did make some moves. What was ironic was a lot of the things that the producers had refused to discuss with the writers, like residuals and how to count them, how to track them, the global numbers, the transparency on all this, that they either didn't talk about at all or gave far below what they wanted to make up for the shift in revenue. A shift that means that since there's no business model to track and collect it, the profits have been huge and incomes have been down. They're basically, making money on this, taking advantage of the fact that there's no infrastructure in place that's really adequate that's realistic in today's world, the last 5 years, especially since the pandemic. So that's the thing. And a lot of hyphenate directors who are either actors or writers or all three aren't keen to deal. So that's not a foregone conclusion. But the directors settled, negotiated, showed their points, some of them. But of course, a lot of their issues didn't involve staffing rooms and mini rooms and a lot of the issues that the writers had. And the writers and actors are both concerned with that, but also concerned with the residuals, but even more so with the whole AI question and getting out ahead of it at first. The directors got a concession from the producers that said basically AI will never replace human involvement. Human involvement can never include AI, which is kind of, depending on how you interpret it, a restating of what the writers specifically wanted, spelling it out. No AI in writers' rooms, no AI, no writers' human material used to train AIs, et cetera, et cetera. That was Monday night. Ironically, the next day was the last day of voting for the SAG-AFTRA, the Actors Union strike authorization. Now, not a vote to go on strike. Their contract ends the end of this month, June 30th. What they just did was exactly what the writers had done, mainly to bring more clout to the bargaining table, because they had been bargaining for a few months. But basically, they said, if we do not have a contract by the 30th and a good faith, we have a in the moment decision. Oh, we just need another couple of days. We're so close. We just need 2 or 3 more days or 4 days. But if things are hanging and there's no forward momentum, that's a strike vote. And guess what? I think the writers were like a 98%, 93% turnout to strike. Well, the writers voted basically at 98% with a half of the whole union turnout. Now, you might say, yeah, it's only half the union, but there's SAG members everywhere and they are sprawling. Somebody pointed out that the last time they had a contract vote and they approved a contract, only 1/4 of the membership voted. And of course it passed. So this is like double. It's almost like normal American voting patterns, but almost half of the membership, which is insane. It's the biggest union of the three by far. There's more writers and directors, and there's far more actors out there than there are. And, and 99% of them are not the glamour boys and gals. So just bear that in mind. Neither, by the way, are the writers, which I thought was a foregone. I keep seeing references to elitist writers. That's part of what this is. Their incomes have been bled dry. If they're a writing team, if you see a writing partner team, they get one person's slot and they split everything from pay to residuals to everything. That's why me and my writing partner on our One Voyager episode, those checks every 4 weeks are for $10, not $20. So, what it could have been if I'd been solo. No, I'm kidding, but that's a fact. That's it. So you've been hearing about all the issues, but that's been a shakeup now. So the writers are pressing to move on. The actors, though, as was looking certain, the actors are more spooked about the AI as much as they are residuals. But that's still a big question, the money question, and other issues too. But they did just voted overwhelmingly to show their tone. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So there's at least the possibility of a double whammy strike. IATSE and Teamsters, as opposed to even the 07 strike, have been very much in solidarity here. And we'll see what happens. Now, none of them are up for IATSE just settled their contract a year or two ago. But this is sympathy. They're not crossing, for the most part. Teamsters aren't driving trucks on when they see picketers, and in New York as well. In fact, it was probably more vicious in New York, more resolved. So, some folks have spent their hiatus on the picket line, and our Star Trek hiatus is going to end in a week. That's one hiatus that may be going on for a good deal longer. Again, I've seen we had our topic last week here was about some of the trolling. A lot of folks, I don't think, somewhere between the globalization and the pop culturization of especially TV, so many of these issues, they're not about the film side, they're about the television side, the small screen, the episodic. And as the proliferation of big TV, cinematic TV has proliferated, and some would say that's been part of the problem here, that the streamers have thrown so much money on the wall to see what sticks. There's wonderful entertainment out there that people simply haven't had time to catch up with. They may not see it for 5 years and know the entire extent of the show. There's been some quality stuff out there, and people, but that closeness in social media adds to that, just the sheer number of shows, the closeness people have, and the proliferation of conventions and Comic-Cons, just beyond, hardcore sci-fi. Well, audiences are feeling more in tune. And I think, I was reading one writer's story from the 81 strike, the one that Leonard Nimoy's famously, you've got photos of him in 1981, which is even before the 87 strike, the writer's strike that affected Next Generation. But no, talking about how people would still drive by and spit, throw eggs at picketers around Hollywood in a company town and still do that. And I think a lot of that people understand that it's not, those elitist Hollywood writers, that the bulk of those people walking the lines are just middle-class writers feeling like they're being taken advantage of. So that's part of this, watching those CEO. And from the tech side, when you've got the tech studios, not the old school brick and mortars, or they've been taken over. So a lot of this is directed at, Netflix and the treatment they've had. All the producers are in one bargaining side. They can't splinter off. Although one tactic, they're free to do separate deals. And one tactic this week was the Writers Guild writing letters to Apple TV and trying to pull out one calf from the herd, get one stray over. You've seen letter writing campaigns to the shareholders of some, Netflix was it, talking about, why are you approving these exorbitant CEO packages when what the writers are asking for that studio is just a sliver. And you saw shareholders turn down the proposed cushy, CEO packages. So maybe we'll run some of these links. This is starting to sound like a Portal 47 roundtable for the Portales here when we're getting into the weeds and nitty gritty. But if you're curious, and again, if you've had nothing else to do during your Trek hiatus, there's been plenty of news to follow in this soap opera. And I don't say that lightly. This is life and death for a lot of folks, and their pensions and their health care, and people starting young families, just wanting to do what they do and want to be able to live in the town where they're doing the work, which is part of it too. Anyway, so what did you do in the Star Trek hiatus? I say that there's another week to go. There's probably some conventions this weekend. There's still some activity. Oh, Monster Palooza was last weekend too here in Pasadena. But we could go forever remembering the cons that have happened the last couple of months. But share what you want to do in the chat. Maybe you've got some stories to tell too. Some folks are not watching us live. They're only watching. Hi, watching later on YouTube. So I hope maybe someday you can catch us live here. But either way, you'll be leaving us now. And I just want to say a huge shout out, as always, to our TTLers, Diana Hopkins, Robin Wilson, Lawrence Todd, Anne-Marie Siegel, Justin Porteous, Galinda Bruton, Chris Jiggins, Pranakasha Productions, Comedy Forecast, and Andrew Jazimski, and our live wires. Yay! Robert McLean, Byron Bailey, J.R. Poole, Habyard Gunjohnson, Alan Hoenzi, Dave Gregory, Tobias Rex, Donna S. Runyon, and Casey Shafsky. Hey, Casey. There you go. Thanks, everybody, for being a supporter. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to tell you that our Patreon is at patreon.com. With our $5, $10 levels, very simple. A shout out every week. The $10 get access to the first generation of Portal, the first 2 or 3 years worth of Portal 47 behind the scenes interviews. And we'll string that along as the years go by too. But there's a lot of good stuff there. A couple of folks have actually left us since then. So thank you all. Thank you all to the patronistas. I want to remind you too, it is summer. In fact, we're here. Hiatus time for Trek means you might be glued to your TV on the road because you're traveling. And if you're in LA, if you're out here in Hollywood for business or for family vacation, whatever, set up in advance, get with me in advance for a Trekland Trek, your own custom away mission. We'll go to 4 sites, Star Trek film sites that you pick out. I'll coordinate with you, pick you up at your hotel. We'll do 4 sites, have a fast food lunch. You pick it. The Treks is your custom pick that I help you with ahead of time. And then we wrangle whatever you want to wrangle. Your camera work, your cosplay, your action figures or stuffed animals that get into whatever it is you want to do. And, you, a couple, a threesome, foursome, we'll handle the size. If you walk in with a family of 8 or your whole club comes, we'll rent a van and get it for you. Okay. That's in the price. So look forward to that. It's been kind of a quiet year. I feel like the traveling is just around the corner, including if you're coming into town for, say, Southern Cal for Comic-Con San Diego in July. All right. Otherwise, I also want to give a shout out to Star Trek Explorer. My column has been in here for over 20 years. It's kind of amazing. But now we've added fiction since the reboot with the Explorer name. This is from Titan in the UK. It's been the official US magazine since the Communicator went down in 05, 06. So a lot of good stuff. My friend John Freeman is back in his second stint. The guy that got me into Titan magazines, whoops, in the 90s has actually come full circle. He's back as editor now. I feel like the Queen with her prime ministers. I've seen so many editors across the years, all of them good folks at the Star Trek Titan magazine. And of course, if it's a Tuesday, that means it's another day for the Trek Files. It's up. We're back with the great Ben Robinson, formerly of Eagle Moss, currently getting the little ships and the book lines restarted. But he's in as a civilian this week talking about another fun topic, a lost pitch by Bob Justman. Was he a writer? Yes, he was a writer. Well, Gene may not have ever recognized it as such, but he certainly pitched stories. You'll recognize this one, maybe. Check it out at the Trek Files, wherever fine podcasts are caught. But of course, on Facebook at our page, you can get the documents of the week. And yeah, we actually have real files to go with our Trek Files. So thanks, everybody, for supporting the Trek Files. We hopefully will have some news to come after our next hiatus on the Trek Files. But we're in the middle of our 10th season. No let up there yet. If you want to catch up, just keep up with me at Larry Nemecek on Twitter, okay? And Mastodon. Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Please go and subscribe. Boy, my Mary Chiefo little 10-second reel it's insane. So I don't know, maybe you're here because of that today. Anyway, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel always. And portal47.net is where we have a monthly minicon all year long. If you think this is something, wait till you join in with the Portales for our guest nights. We've had some awesome ones, and our roundtables and everything out of it's a lot of fun. Check it out. You know where to go. And the TeePublic store is over there too. That's going to do it for now. If you are leaving us from YouTube, though, hey, everybody, please, just do all the things. Stay healthy, okay? Stay woke and check the sources. before you spend too much time spewing about something that looks ridiculous, or wondering if what you're reading is really the truth, do a little research. There's a lot of insidious YouTube stuff happening now with, they'll do 8 presidents that blah, 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 and then they'll slide one in that's totally bogus. I mean, they're sneaky. As Will said one time, you got to watch out. They'll run it right past you. Most of all, everybody, truck well.